Hey guys, welcome to the Doncaster OTS Championship again. It's the Minifest channel. This is round 3. We have Travis on the left on the Fireking Azamina deck. And on the right we have Dan Kelly on the Mimighoul deck, which is interesting to see do so well here. Travis starts by summoning Witch and pitching Flamberge Dragon. Looks like he's going to set a Sinful Spoils. He goes for the original. I assume that means he already has access to the Azamina package here. So he has either Deception or the Fusion spell in hand. I think the correct play would be to go for those plays right now. And then search for... Okay. Looks like he's starting with the original. Okay. I mean, that's fine, I guess. I mean, I would have set up the Azamina negate to protect this play beforehand if he did open it. But, okay. He's gone for the Snake Ash here. I assume he's searching Ponix if he doesn't have the Fireking line available in his hand, so that he can be able to access the island. And then, because the Ponix doesn't really get him anything here, since he's already been through the original. So Ponix would probably be the best ad. And then you would probably then go for the Azamina line in order to protect the Fireking line and let it resolve. But I guess he could also just not have a good monster to tribute at this point, since he's got rid of the Witch already for the original. So... yeah, okay, looks like here comes the Ponix. And that'll grab Sanctuary, I assume. And yeah, so he can go Sanctuary to place the island from deck. And then he can probably go for the Azamina spell afterwards. Okay, looks like he's not doing that. He's going for island. He's lucky that no hand traps have come down to punish the greedy lines here, but yeah, like it looks like everything's going through, so nothing to stress over here. He goes for Garunix and he pops Arvata. I think Orkinix or Kirin would have been better, so that he would be able to trigger so that he could destroy the Ambler Whale on his opponent's turn to be able to bring back IP. But I guess this sets up Arvata. But he could get to Arvata of Garunix anyway, so it doesn't really accomplish that much. Okay, so I assume he just wants to go IP Princess here, because Sunlight Wolf can't really add anything back now. Okay, so he did have the Deception, which I think is a bit late at this point, but I guess it's just a negate for his opponent's turn. So, yep, he tributes the Ponix to grab the Fusion spell, and then you use the Fusion spell, sending the Deception to make the negate, because there's not really anything good to add off the monster. But I guess he could go for Wanted, search Wanted, and then get free link material. And then you can fuse, but this plays around a Bestial, I guess. Looks like he's using the Snake Eye Ash to summon the Oak from deck, and then Oak will bring back the Snake Eye Ash. It doesn't really matter what he summons back because he's just going to link it off. But it looks like he's gone for Ponix instead. Which I actually think was not correct because the Ponix was destroyed, so he would have got it back in standby. Oh no, it wasn't destroyed, it was tributed off the Deception, right? Yep, so he goes for IP into Princess, and then Princess brings back the Flambird he started with, pitching. Yeah, looks like his opponent's giving him a helping hand there, which is funny. So, I mean, what you usually would do in this position is go Sunlight Wolf, bring 2 back, and then add back the Kirin. But since he didn't destroy Kirin, there is no good fire to add back. I guess he can add something back for follow-up, like Oak, which he's put to the top of his grave, which I assume he's going to go for. But, like, yeah, if he destroyed Kirin earlier off of the Garunix, it would have been much better. Maybe that's what his last card is. Maybe he already has the Kirin. Then that would make more sense. But, I mean, you could even use the Flambird here just to get something onto the field for value, like Witch, just like for a free send later. Looks like we're not doing that though. We're going for the Sunlight, like I said. Then he'd probably bring back Ash and Ponix if he wants to bad back Oak for follow-up. Yeah. And then Sunlight gets the Oak. And then he just makes Ambler Whale here. But the issue is if he doesn't have the Kirin, that it's going to take a while before he can actually get the IP on the board to make an SP. Because yeah, he's gone for Ambler because he'd need to go Princess, pop a different fire other than Ambler, and then trigger Garunix to bring back Arvata, and then Arvata destroy the Ambler, but then he still has Princess, so there's not really a good way to get IP on board. Which, yeah, unless I assume he has Kirin if he went for it like that then. Okay, so past to Dan's turn, and it looks like he's leading with Illusion of Chaos to search a card that mentions Dark Magician in its name, in its effect. He adds Magician's Souls. Okay. And oh, looks like Dan is met with a Droll and Lockbird. That is very big for Travis here. Now Dan's turn is pretty much shut off. Mimighouls can't really do a lot without searching. But we'll see what he's gonna do here. He summons the Magician's Souls by pitching the Illusion, and then he normal summons a second Illusion. I mean, yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can really do here because you don't have the Kirin. You just gotta wait and see what he does. Maybe none of the guys really do. Okay, looks like he's just gone for the future. That will let him survive one turn, I guess, so that he can draw into an out next turn, potentially. And he won't be under draw next turn, so could help. But Travis's board is going to be even better next turn. Looks like Travis is triggering Princess. Probably to just trigger off his Fire Kings and his Ambler Whale here. So his Ambler Whale will bring back Sunlight Wolf, and then Garunix can do some stuff. I mean, not a lot since Future is still unaffected, but it's something. Like, you can just set up to make a huge board next turn. Yep. And looks like he's resolving Runics here, popping a Kirin. And then I assume the Kirin will bring back our water. Yeah. And now we'll see what Dan does from here. Looks like he just sets 2 cards and passes back to Travis. Which will have to be okay. There's nothing Travis can do from this position. So he'll start his turn. Like, I don't really know what he can do here. He can just pop both back rows and then just sit on Arvata as a Mina Fusion and beat his board next turn again. Well, his opponent will have to beat his board, which I think is fine. He sells Deception Set, which doesn't really do anything with the Spell Engrave, but it's a free send for the Oak. If he puts the Flamberge back with Original. But I don't think he has a target. Wait, actually, he does have a target. He's not been through Poplar yet. So he could do that in order to get Flamberge onto the board if he really wanted. I don't know what's in his extra deck, but that could give him some rank 8 plays. Looks like he's double checking the wording on Future here. Seeing if there's any way he can beat the card this turn, but unfortunately that will not be possible because Fucho is unaffected by all card effects other than itself, and it can detach 2 cards to not die by battle this turn. So unless he plays Underworld Goddess, then there's no way for him to out this Fucho here. Looks like he's linking off the Princess without getting the value back. I definitely think he should have linked off something else and then used Princess to bring something back for the value, but I don't know. He can just go... I assume he's going for Raging Phoenix and maybe Zelantis. Ooh, okay. Dan Kelly judgments the Raging Phoenix, which means that Raging Phoenix is basically out of the game forever. Which is quite huge because it might mean that it turns off some OTK lines for Travis here. And then he follows up with the normal summon of Oak, targeting presumably the Snake Eye Ash, because the Poplar is still in deck. Looks like he's thinking about his decision. Yep, he goes for the Snake Eye Ash and uses the effect, which Dan Kelly allows here. And he adds a second Ponix.
What did we add, sorry? Thank you.
Did he draw into Poplar maybe? I don't know why he wouldn't go for Poplar there. I mean, this is fine. He probably goes for Nightmare Phoenix to pop the last set. And then just... I mean, there's nothing else you can really do other than attack the Future to force it. But we'll see what he does here. Looks like he uses Island to destroy the Ponix. And to search the Kirin finally. Nope, he goes for Orcanix. I mean, Orcanix can grab Kirin, I guess, but it's not really a point. Okay, he goes for Garunix here. I mean, he's just running out of room to do anything. It looks like he's just forcing the future. Then you just... I don't even know if he's on Nightmare Phoenix at this point. But if he is, then I would probably try to deal with this set before giving Dan a opportunity to start his turn. Looks like he is linking off here into Anima. Okay, Dark does bring back the Magician's Souls, to be fair. Oh, he's gone for SP, not Dark. Okay. I mean, that beats the set, I guess. But he could have got some cheeky draws off the Magician's Soul first. After flipping up the Deception, and then Deception would come back in the end phase. So it was free value. But... meh. Looks like the card he banished was a Terraforming, which Dan set as a bluff, which I don't think was correct. Because you're going to need as many cards that do something as possible to be able to break this fireking board on the follow-up. So I don't think setting bluffs is very smart to do in this position. But maybe he has more copies of the field spell. I mean, we will see. He starts with the Mimighoul Maker, which is a very good card. Looks like Travis is negating that with the Azamina Fusion. See if Dan has any follow-up after that. Okay, he then follows up with the Mimighoul Master to search for a Mimighoul monster. But, I mean, he can just Arvata that, so... he's gonna need another card that does something there. And then after he Arvatas, he can trigger Garunix, clear the Mimighoul Master, and then most of the Mimighoul follow-up cards can't even summon to the field since there won't be a Mimighoul on board. So let's see what Travis decides to do here. Okay, so Travis used the Arvata here to negate the Mimighoul Master, which triggers the Kirin to bring back Ponix, and that will destroy the Mimighoul Master. And I assume Dan will just scoop it up here with the one card in hand. I doubt it'll do anything. If he did keep the Terraforming in hand, I wonder if anything could have changed. He could have activated Dungeon, and then Dungeon could search for something as an extender, but then Travis can just trigger Princess to pop it. So I don't think there was much that he could actually do, so I guess it's fine that he set the Terraforming. It didn't really change much, but setting bluffs is not always the correct play in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! Since if you have like ways to survive, like Fucho, like lots of hand traps in hand, then you will be on the you're basically going second at that point, because you're going to have to break your opponent's board, and you will need as many tools as you can get to be able to do that. So setting impactful cards for those situations, like Terraforming or like any other engine cards as bluffs, I just don't think is good to be able to do in that situation. I think just passing on the Future would have been fine, and the Judgment. But main deck on Judgment is certainly interesting. I guess if he wins any die rolls, that the Judgment can just make a opponent pass their turn. A well-timed judgment anyway. Is very strong when going first, but it's not very good going second, I guess. Looks like they're making sure that they are siding correctly, as they don't want to make any mistakes for this game 2 here. Dan's ready with his deck presented. Travis just taking out the extra cards in his main deck here before presenting his deck. Now in this game 2, we will be able to see Mimighoul go first, so hopefully we'll be able to see what the deck can do. And hopefully Travis doesn't just shut off the entire turn with a draw again. But we'll see. Because it did seem like there was some cool cards in Dan's deck there, like the Illusion of Chaos. Looks like they have presented their decks. And I assume that Dan will be going first here. Okay, let's get into it. So Dan leads off with the Illusion of Chaos again here. So, oh no. Looks like we see another Droll and Lockbird here. I do not think that Dan is very happy about that. Here comes the Magician's Soul sending the Illusion. And will we see just another level 1 to make Future again? There's no way, right? Well, I guess that like cards like Solemn Judgment from the previous game would be much more impactful in this situation, as Travis has not established a board yet. So well-timed Judgment can just win the game if Travis is on minimal engine in his hand. Okay, looks like he is giving his opponent a Mimighoul Slime. And he's setting 2 cards. Double summons another Magician's Souls and brings out the Fucho. Actually, I'm pretty sure that I've seen throughout the tournament that Dan Kelly was on Harpy's Featherstorm, and Fucho is a win-win beast, so maybe we will see it flipped up at some point in this turn. And if it's at any time, it would be in this position as a Harpy's Feather Duster comes down, but looks like Dan just changed the Mimighoul room and is resolving it, which means the set is unfortunately not going to be a Harpy's Featherstorm. And that is kind of rough. He summons Dragon, flips up the Slime, and then Slime will summon the pink one. I don't remember what it was called, but and then he searches for a dungeon for follow-up, and well, Travis has to beat a board of 0 interruptions here, and 1 card in hand, which is the Mimighoul dungeon, which he does not need to fear. He starts the Ponix, grabs the Sanctuary, places the island, and I assume he's just going to activate that island effect here to be able to get through his fireking engine. Yep, he goes island effect here. He's just thinking on what to destroy. Looks like he destroys our Vata here. Okay, so I assume he's going to grab a Garunix and go Garunix, pop a Kirin from deck, and then Kirin will be able to bring back our Vata, and he'll be able to destroy one of these Mimighouls with the Kirin's effect. And then he would just need to attack over everything and force the Fucho, and then he can just set up his board and then pass it back to Dan to try and break again with just 1 dungeon and a materialless Fucho and a top deck, I guess. But looks like Dan is in a similar position to game 1 here. Travis just going through his combo. Looks like he opts to pitch the Orcanix off of the Garunix and summons the original Garunix. Looks like we're getting an XYZ play. He goes for the Zombie Vampire, Maybe he's trying to hit the Diablo star. Oh my god, I can't talk. Diabel star. Jesus. And he hits the poplar here. The poplar will be able to get him Snake Eye engine access, which is very good for him. Because you'll be able to grab Original will be able to grab Snake Eye Ash. But looks like he just goes for Kirin. I don't know if I like that. And he places back Poplar. So we can't bring it back to access Snake Eye cards anymore at all. I don't really like the decision there, but we'll see how he decides to proceed from here. Maybe he just has like one to do a witch, then that would make more sense. Looks like he's looking at his extra deck here. He's not forced the materials under the Fucho yet, so but once he does, there is some Dark Star which he can bring back off of Dark Charmer. And he can get some value off the Magician Soul's effects and get some free draws. Yeah. Okay. So we'll see what's in his hand here. Looks like, yeah, he has the original already. So that makes a lot more sense on why he didn't summon the Poplar. Yeah. So we get the Oak, and then the Oak summons back the Poplar. And then at this position, you can just go to the battle phase and just kill everything and force the Fucho, which would make sense. I know Dragon has a lot of defense, but the other two really do not have that much defense, so it's fine to just go battle phase here. And then afterwards, you can just combo off in main 2. Looks like he's just checking everything before committing to any plays. And yeah, it looks like he has gone to the battle phase here. If I'm right. No. He's going for Anima here. That does get rid of one of the bodies for free straight away. And then now he can go to the battle phase, and then he just punches over the 2 Mimighouls, and then punches the Fucho, and then gets rid of the entire board basically. And then in the main 2, he can go for a Dark Line with the Magician Souls. And then Dan is in the back foot again. He'll need a really good top deck to contest for this board. I actually don't think there is a single card that will help him, except maybe like a Teekaboo or like a Rivalry or something, which I don't really see coming. But even so, Travis could go for a Sunlight Wolf, add back Kirin, and then be able to trigger Garunix on Dan's turn. And then he'll be able to pop any threats that come his way, like any big threats. Yep, here comes the Dark. And he grabs back the Magician Souls from Dan's grave, and it goes for a draw with Wanted here. Let's see if he uses the... It looks like, yep, he's using the Magician Souls for the extra draw, sending the Sanctuary. And yeah, you just go through IP, Princess. It looks like he's using the Oak to get to Flamberge. And then you can make Princess here. Or the IP to get it into rotation. Yep, links off the Zombie Vampire. Makes the IP, triggers Flamberge to bring 2 back. And Now he can go for the IP. He could even leave the IP on the board here because he has the dock to use as link material, but looks like he links it off anyway. I think leaving it on board was fine there, but it's fine. Princess here brings back the Flamberge, which he uses to place the IP. Okay. Sure. Now he uses Dark. Because, yeah, if he did link off to Dark, then he'd be able to make Sunlight here. He makes the Ambler Whale. And then the Sunlight could have added back Kirin. This, yeah. Is he just passing on this? Because a good top deck could ruin this board like a Floodgate. Did we see him search a second Kirin, maybe? Right. Here comes the dungeon.
It's not an activation effect, is it? No.
I assume he doesn't have a way to stop the dungeon. Well, the dungeon isn't on activation, but so he can do some stuff. He uses the Flamberge to bring out the IP, and then uses IP to make the SP to banish the dungeon. Oh, he makes Phoenix. I guess he does get a draw like that. Ooh. Looks like Dan uses the hidden effect of Mimighoul Room to bounce the dungeon to his hand so that it's not destroyed by Phoenix. And then he activates it. And then he gets ashed anyway. Oh no. Then Dan sets a card here and passes back to Travis. Let's see if he did have the Kirin in hand. And it looks like he does. And that's pretty much going to be game over. No matter what the set card is, it's just going to get popped by Kirin here. Unless it's like Awaken the Dragon, this looks like it's game over. There's Garunix. Kirin brings back Avata. It was the Tikaboo. That was actually huge. Well, that's the end of the match. I'll catch you guys in the next one.